NewsNation political contributor foremost, Chris Stirewalt. What'd you think?
Well, I got to say, it was a pretty lucky night and a good night for Vivek Ramaswamy on the night that new criminal charges are being handed down, presumably that named Donald Trump down in Georgia. You know, Republicans are going to, at whatever point, start thinking more seriously about the wisdom of proceeding with Trump. To have Ramaswamy, look, his answers are insufficient in a lot of ways when it comes to Trump. But the way that he could parse out talking about, I'm not like Trump, Trump made mistakes, I'm okay with Trump. I think I guess I'll put it this way. Ramaswamy tonight effectively articulated what a lot of Republicans I talk to and what a lot of polls indicate Republicans think. Maybe they'd like to move on from Trump, but they feel defensive of him. They want to protect him. And when he's being attacked, he's their former president. It makes them want to rally to him. So what Ramaswamy was able to do tonight was find that crack in between those two points of view. You don't need to go forward with Trump, but I'm not against Trump. I'm not attacking Trump. So I think this was a good, fortunate timing with some pretty slick answers for him on that.
What didn't you see like?
Well, look, he is very young. He is extraordinarily young. And his desire to have glib answers and pat-sounding answers where he speaks authoritatively gets him into trouble. His position on Ukraine particularly, the easy way he talked about how he'd dispatch Vladimir Putin this, and then he'd break him up with the Chinese, and calling the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, a fraud. I think there's a part of the Republican Party that feels that way, certainly, but I think to grow his numbers, that will hurt him. When it comes to foreign policy, and you heard his interaction with that Gold Star mom, when it comes to foreign policy, people want caution, they want sincerity, they want not pan answers, they want to see somebody who looks like they're ready to lead.
Let's chew on it for a second here as two old hands. I was using the word glib. I was using the word glib also, but I think that I don't know that it's the right word, and it's not a diction question. It's because he's not insincere and he's not shallow. I think that what he's suffering from for his intelligence, right? He's clearly smart and intelligent. He's got raw horsepower and he's learned, okay? But he's suffering from something that I was raised to refer to this way. He doesn't seem to know what he doesn't know. And, you know, that may seem like sophistry to some people, but that a leader is often burdened with this kind of tortuous understanding of options and how things can go and how they've gone in the past and why you have to be very careful about waiting and seeing. And we can do that. You can say that. But we've seen in that, you know, there's this agonizing understanding of all the different permutations and outcomes. You know, heavy is the head that wears the crown. That's why he doesn't seem to get that. And I'm not saying he doesn't get it here, but he's not able to get it here because he hasn't lived it. Does that make sense?
That makes enormous sense, and it's the same thing I was picking up. The West Virginia-ism on that is they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And being able to really empathize with people. I thought one of the real clams he hit in his responses, he was talking to the woman who had come in from East Palestine, Ohio, or from near East Palestine. And he said, well, I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but my wife and I gave $100,000. And I just cringed. I thought, that's not where it's at. If you give the money and then you say that you did, it doesn't count. First of all, you can't give it and say, I didn't mean to tell you that I gave you $100,000, but there it is anyway. But I thought it sounded callous. I thought that it sounded like he was bigfooting her. And I think you're exactly right that empathy is what voters are looking for when they're undecided. People can't process all of the policy positions that somebody has. An undecided voter who has a real life to lead, a real job, real family, real concerns of their own, isn't going to make a spreadsheet with all of the policy positions of each candidate. In the end, persuadable voters are going to respond to the person that they think has empathy for them, that cares about voters like them. And I think on that point, he has a ways to go.
Yeah, a business guy has to be careful, especially young ones, especially a guy who does business the way he does, of not making people's lives and situations come off as case studies. There's a clinical way of reviewing things and with a good set of intentions of, hey, I'm going to be able to fix this, and here's how I'm going to be able to do it. And I know that there's an answer for everything, and I have them. I just haven't lived any of them. And I just think that things get gray when you've lived it, and I like that in leaders. I like philosophy in leaders. I like people who struggle with questions, and they're not ready with an answer because, look, I just think there are very few things in life that I can tell you, I know exactly how this goes 8 times out of 10, and here's why we're going to have to do that. It's usually about best intentions. We're going to have to go along and see. Different things are going to come and break. You know, and these lawyers, we've seen, I remember reading about Kennedy's experience with the first and second iteration of the Cuban Missile Crisis and how he learned that, wow, I had all these great minds in the room, but they couldn't make the decision for me. And now I know I have to own this decision, so I need fewer opinions. And then I'm going to have to make a call and realize it's not going to be perfect. And
that's right.
And I think that matters. And it's not just about age. I mean, this guy is way smarter than I'll ever be, let alone when I was 38 years of age. I'm not saying you can't be 38 and be president. I'm saying that he's got a very unique challenge on his hands. But I think that he really set a good bar for the next set of folks that we have coming through here to deal with the audience in terms of being on your game, having that desire of wanting to do this because of what you think you can get done. Not that you are the right one. You know, you hear that from a lot of candidates, you know. I'm the right, it should be me because, as opposed to what they'll do, you know what I mean? Why they are owed it.
And you want to avoid being a technocrat. He does not want to be Romney-Swamy, right? He does not want to seem like he's a rich guy who has all the answers and knows all the things and is going to tell people how it's going to be. Listening more, empathizing more, demonstrating that he understands that people aren't stupid. Life is hard. That takes work and it takes discipline. But I think he did win over some people in the audience tonight. I think he is impressive. He is interesting. And again, on a night that Donald Trump, that the complexity and the problem for Republicans of advancing Donald Trump, Ramaswamy managed to be Trump's friend, but also offer, he's a gateway drug out of Trump, maybe for some voters tonight.
He's done a very deft hedge to this point. He is courting Trump supporters, and that is why he is kissing the ring. And I do not mean that in a pejorative way. You want to make it in that field, you go against Trump's base, you might as well go home. So I get what his play is. We'll see how it sustains. And as you said, Chris Stirewalt, thank you very much for watching it along. Trump's doing a lot of the work for him in terms of creating the problems, if the base perceives any of this as legitimate. But we'll get into that once we know more about it. Chris, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.